Hello, artists. Today we are going to start our collaborative Kindness Rocks project for our new tree that's out in front of our building. Today what you're going to do, you're going to get a white piece of paper and you are going to get a rock. And so for this, what I want you to do is I want you to find the spot, like the side of the rock that is going to be the flattest, the easiest to paint. And so it can be hard for some rocks because all rocks come in different shapes and sizes. If yours is a little bumpier, that's okay. And so I'm going to choose this side. So I'm going to put my name and my class code on the other side with Sharpie. Lens. And then, so before we just start painting the rock, what we want to do is we want to plan out what your rock is going to look like because we have to do this painting in layers. And so I'm just going to draw out just like a general shape of what my rock looks like. So I'm noticing there's a flat side, and there's another angled side over here, curved side over here, and then kind of that right there. It's not perfect, but that's okay. Kind of looks like a shoe. Oh well. All right. So this is going to be kind of like a blown up version of your rock and what you're going to put on your rock. Keep in mind that anything you do is going to be super tiny on here. So don't have like a ton of detail. And so when you're thinking about what kind word or phrase that you want to do, first, what we have to do before we put that down is we have to think of what your background is going to look like. And your background can look however you like, but we just don't want it to be distracting from the word or the saying that's going to be on the rock. And so for mine, I think I want to do something with sunshine. So I think I'm going to maybe make a sun maybe down here in the bottom half of the rock. And I do want you to color it in because I want you to really think about where the colors are going to go and what colors you're going to plan out and any details you're going to make as well. So I'll have some spiky sun rays coming out. And then I think for the background of my rock, I think I want it to be kind of like a light blue. So I don't have to do it perfectly on here, but I will once I do it on the rock. So I'm just going to kind of have like a general, just kind of like a little scribble showing that blue is going to be there. All right, so those are planned for my colors. And now I'm going to think of the word for my rock. And I think I'm going to keep it simple. So I think sunshine. Or the positive word on my rock. And so when you're doing this, think about the contrast of the word. And so what I mean by contrast is, does the color of the word look different enough from the background so it stands out? So the black is definitely a lot different than the yellow, and so it stands out, so I can read it very well. So you might be using black for your word, you might be using white, you might be using another color, but we want it to stand out. All right, so once I approve your design, then I'm going to be giving you the colors for your rock. And I'm just going to be giving you little bits of paint because these are tiny, 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 tiny rocks. So you're going to show this to me, and I'm going to look at your colors, and I'll give you the colors you need. So I notice that you're going to, well, if I was a student, I would need a light blue, I would need yellow, I would need orange, and I would need black for the. So by my sink, what I have is I have two types of brushes. I have the medium brushes, and then I have super special, skinny, tiny brushes for any kind of details or the word. And so when you're doing this, you're going to think background, middle ground, foreground. So first what I want to do is I want to paint the background. And so I'm going to take my medium brush because I'm going to go across it with this flat tipped brush. I'm going to mix the light blue that I need. And I'm going to be really stingy when I give you this paint because this is acrylic paint and it's more on the expensive side. And the reason why we're going to use acrylic paint is because it's going to stay outside and it's just going to last longer if it's acrylic. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint all across my rock. If you want to paint the edges, that is up to you. I'm using just a little bit of water just to have my brush glide across the rock. Really make sure you get into all those cracks. You can get into those cracks by dabbing. And then I'm gonna kind of paint just the edges a bit. But it's up to you if you want to paint more. Just don't cover up your name and your class code. So I'm going to do that. And then after I get my blue background on, then I'm going to let that dry. It should dry very quickly. If you want to like wave your rock around, don't throw it, or like, fan it, get a piece of paper and fan it, because if we were to put the yellow on the rock right away with the blue, then it would turn into green. So you got to wait in between layers, but it should be pretty okay after it gets a little tacky after it dries a little bit. So I'm just going to put just another layer of this light blue on my rock, and then I'll let it dry, and then I'll start to do the sun. All right, so it's been about 5, 6-ish minutes, and I'm noticing that the rock is already starting to dry. There's still a couple of wet spots, but I think I can move on from here. So now I'm going to do the sun and the rays, and I'm going to let that dry too, and then I'm going to do the word on top of it. When you're doing this, think about different size brushes. Like I wouldn't want to use this big brush for the sun because then it's just going to be like too sloppy, too messy, because you need a finer point brush for that. And now with one of my very small specialty brushes, it's still a little wet. You guys should wait till it's more dry, but I can't because I have class in about like 15 minutes. So I can't wait till it's fully dry. But you're going to very carefully paint your word on there. And there we go. So later when these are dry, I'm going to put a sealer on them, which is going to help even further protect them from the weather outside. And then you guys are going to get to place the rocks by the tree with your class sometime during the last week of school. Awesome, awesome. Thanks for watching.